This podcast is brought to you in part by Coke, Am First, Buffalo Wild Wings, Southern Immediate Care, Guaranteed Labels, Central State Bank, Sunrise Docks, Banker's Bounty, and Dr. Thomas Dudney.
Hey, it's Bubba, hey, Bubba, Bubba on the lake. This is Bubba, hey, Bubba, Bubba on the lake. Yeah, he's got it going on. Gotta come and check this. Talking people, talking places from Bubba's perspective. This is Bubba, hey, Bubba on the lake. Hey, Bubba, yeah, Bubba on the lake. Let's go.
Hey, Bubba, this is Grant Cisco. I've called many a times on the Rick and Bubba show and enjoyed that. Enjoy your podcast. Enjoy the new Rick Burgess show, all that. Just wanted to call you, and I don't know if you know. I know you know my dad, Rod Cisco, over at WQFB. I just wanted y'all to keep us in your prayers. He passed away unexpectedly this past Thursday from what we believe is going to be what we believe is a massive heart attack. And so if you would just keep us in your prayers, we really would appreciate it. And we really like the new show, the new podcast you got going. So take care and thank you.
Yes, we did hear about it. What a terrible loss. He was a great broadcaster, a terrific competitor, and he will be missed. Our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family.
Hey, Bubba. This is Jimmy Cox in Western Kentucky. Me and my sons, Kyle and David, love your show. We used to listen to Rick and Bubba, but you were always my favorite, and we just enjoy you and Miss Betty Lou, and keep up the good work.
You are too kind. Thank you for those words.
Hey, Bubba, it's Grant. I've been listening for several years. Loved you on the Rick and Bubba show and missed that. I listen to your podcast every week and just would really love to get the lowdown, and I think the rest of your followers and listeners would love to get the lowdown on what happened between you and Rick. It was really kind of heartbreaking for us at the end of the year, and now we're kind of, going between both of you now, and both of your programs are successful, and that's not an issue, but just would really like to know what happened between the two of you. So anyway, thanks. Continue what you're doing. We'll keep listening. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you again for those very kind words. Yeah, I think I have addressed this at least to the point that I want to right now. It was not my decision, which means it was Rick's decision to end the show. I didn't want it to end. Rick had the option, as I did, to make it end, and he chose to exercise that option. So I don't know how much simpler we can make that right now at this point. Now, were there some underlying things going on and all that? Sure. But, do we really want to dive into that right now?
Hey, Bubba, this is Jordan over in Gadsden, Alabama. Loving the show. Listen, I got two things. Number one, if you can talk about it, your audience wants to know what really happened with the Rick and Bubba split up. Also, number two, and if you can't talk about that, I understand. Number two is, with the podcast, are you doing a video version of that you're uploading to YouTube? If so, where can we find that? Hope you're doing well, Bubba. Really enjoy the show. Keep them coming.
Well, I think we've covered most of that already, but far as video, no, we're not doing video yet. And I know that seems like that is some easy step that we should just throw a camera up here and do it. But, it changes the whole editing process. We have to edit with a different program. We have to do a lot of things different. That'll take a whole lot more time. We don't have the equipment to actually shoot video, because right now the podcast is put together in segments, and sometimes not all at the same time, sometimes not all on the same day. So it would be a lot more difficult. At some point we want to do it, and as I've always said, if the podcast continues to grow and that's what people want, we'll do it. But we are not at that point yet, so we want to keep working for it. If that's what you want, I want to meet you you where you want to be met. So we will try to do that. But we have to get financially the podcast to a point that we can do that. Thank you, though, for the question.
This is Jerry from McCalla, Alabama. Love the music. Hope you keep it just as it is. Thanks. Bye.
Well, we are off to a rip-roaring start, don't you think? Welcome in, everybody, to Bubba on the Lake. I'm your semi-retired, mostly washed-up host, formerly of the Rick and Bubba Show, and I want to welcome you to our podcast. Well, those little gems there, those little pearls of wisdom came from 308 Big Lake. 308 Big Lake. Call and leave your comments. Keep them coming. Always enjoy those. Always a pleasure to listen to them. And as you've heard, some of them may make them to air. We're here in the Mellow Yellow studio, and we have another great podcast for you. A lot going on. We want to remind you about our website, Bubba at bubbaonthelake.com, or I should say that's my email address. The website is bubbaonthelake.com. And we want you always to subscribe, follow us on all of the podcast formats and on social media. That all is very, very important. But we want to thank you for being with us and thank you for your support of the podcast so far. Now, of course, we had a running theme here in the calls this week. And again, it is somewhat amazing to me how these topics will come up, and it seems to be the topic that everybody's on that week. So I hope I have addressed that. It's certainly a lot more detail to the way the show ended and some of the undertones and some of the things that have come to light since then that I know now I didn't know then. And we'll cover all that in due time. But I really think we've covered that to the level that I'm comfortable with right now. And, the show ended. I didn't want it to end. It was before I was prepared for it to end financially. We had made plans for retirement, but, most retirement plans don't start at 59. So, it's been difficult, and we're trying to work through all that and continue moving forward. And we wish the other guys nothing but success and good luck in everything they do. Well, we have a very, very busy podcast. I think it's going to be one you're going to enjoy, and we'll get started with all of that in just a moment. We'll be right back.
It's Bubba on the Lake. Bubba on the Lake.
This is Coke Zero Sugar. Could I be the best Coke ever? Try and taste with your ears. Hear those bubbles? Imagine them tingling on your tongue. Fizzy deliciousness. Listen to that cascading liquid. A mouth-watering waterfall. Irresistibly tasty. Zero sugar. Crisp, refreshing, and ice cold. Is Coke Zero Sugar the best Coke ever? Try and decide.
At Central State Bank, we believe community banking is more than just transactions. It's about relationships. For over 100 years, we've been helping neighbors grow, businesses thrive, and dreams become reality. Because when you bank local, you invest in your community. Central State Bank, large enough to serve you, small enough to know you. Visit us today or learn more at centralstatebank.com. Member FDIC.
I am so happy to announce that our family dentist, Dr. Thomas Dudney, has joined my podcast as a sponsor. My entire family have been patients of Dr. Dudney and his team for over 20 years. Now, I'm going to be telling you a lot more about all of his services and what he does, but I have to tell you, the veneers that he gave me changed my life. I had no idea how big an impact that would have. You can call him today at 205-663-6545 or visit them at thomasdudney.com and find out more. Welcome back to the Mellow Yellow Studio. I'm your host, Bill Bubba Bussey, and this is Bubba on the Lake. I'm joined by the lovely Betty Lou Bussy. Betty, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's bright and bushy-tailed this morning.
You're a little under the weather, aren't you?
Yeah, I've got a little bit of a sore throat. I'll be all right, though. Just allergies, It's all right.
I'm fighting with all I can what I want to say to that, but
all right. Well.
It's been a crazy day. So anyway, we did want to share. We've been asked to do this for a while. We wanted to share a story about telling our children about the birds and the bees. We simply call it the birds and the bees, rightly named. Now. I want to give a bit of a warning here. There will not be any bad words per se, but we are going to talk about adult topics. So if you have ears that are not ready for that, they don't need to be a part of this segment.
Go ahead and give them a popsicle and let them watch TV.
Yeah. Give them a cartoon and away they go. Well, the birds and the bees bridge that you have to cross it twice. You learn it, and then you have to teach your children. And I don't really know which
Wasn't sure where you were going with that one. I didn't know.
Well,
I thought, well, all righty. Right here out of the gate, folks.
I don't know which time over that bridge is the worst. I think it could be debatable. And we'll cover some of our childhood memories of that a little bit later. But this all happened when Hunter was in 6th grade. Caitlin was in 5th grade. Caitlin was very mature for her age. And Betty, you started leaning on me to tell the kids because it was coming up in their health class, Hunter's health class, right?
Right. Well, he was actually coming up in the 5th grade, maybe 6th grade. I was thinking it was 4th and 5th, but it might have been 5th and 6th. Anyway, he was the oldest. His health class, they were about to go over all this, and I knew there would be discussions at the house, so I thought we've got to tell both of them. But I was planning on telling Caitlin separate. Well, you just took it upon yourself to go ahead and have a family meeting, and here we go.
Well, it wasn't exactly like that. The kids were already asking a lot of questions.
Yes.
They were hearing words. They wanted to know what they were, what they meant. And, I won't go into all of that, but you started telling me you need to tell the kids. And you started buying me books on how to do it.
Okay, I borrowed a book that one of my friends had. Well, whatever. She was well versed in the books. All right, but anyway.
Now, what friend was that, by the way?
I'm not going to throw her under
versed.
I'm not going to throw Margaret under the bus. But anyway, she had some books.
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
why did they buy books to teach their kids about this?
I guess. I guess so. So anyway.
Well, after about the 3rd book come in, I was beginning to be a little insulted at that point. And I told Betty, I said, I know how this works. I don't need a book.
Well, I think we both knew how it worked. We had 2 kids, you know what I mean?
Right.
So we're well aware how it all works, but to try to get it over to the kids in a way,
Well,
is what we need to help with.
in that discussion about having a separate discussion with the son and the dad and the daughter and the mom, I know a lot of people do it that way. And that may be the better way to do it. I don't know. But I do know this, that I'm getting a call now. They're already talking about it. That's probably our daughter sensing that we're talking about it and now trying to move to a foreign country. She begged us, by the way, not to tell this while she was in college. Now, we've told it to some groups, but we've never told it over the air or on a podcast or anything like that.
So she's safe now. She's out of college.
Yeah, she still said she might have to move to a foreign country. So we'll see how it all plays out. But this was, I'd heard horror stories no matter how you did it. I know one dad that said, the mom took the daughter, the dad took the son. They clued him in on the birds and the bees. And then he said, my daughter would not look me in the eye or give me a hug for 6 months.
Yeah.
So
there's no easy way.
No, I was trying to avoid that. So I told Betty, I said, look, let's just do this. We've always been just really upfront with our kids on everything, to what they could handle. And I said, why don't we just set them together? I want to have 3 sessions. I want to have a session on learning your body parts. You're already laughing. You make this very...
To this day, I'm like, we're going to break it up in 3 sessions?
3 sessions, about 30 minutes each. We're going to have body parts, scientific and street names. Know your body parts.
I obviously did not ride the bus as much as you did as a child.
You led a sheltered life. And then we were going to have a sit-down study session on where kittens and puppies come from, okay? Because they had puppies and they had been right on the verge of watching kittens being born before. So they were, around when that process was going on. And I said, then finally, we're going to talk about where babies come from. And I want to do it from a biblical perspective. I want to go back to Genesis and Adam and Eve and show that this is God's plan. This is a beautiful gift, and the way He set it up, and if it's done in the right way, it's a real positive for all parties. So that was kind of the plan. Well, we sit down with the kids to discuss know your body parts, scientific and street names, and I could not get through it because of you laughing. You were just laughing.
I had never heard of some of these terms. I'm just like, what?
Every time I would break out a new term, you would go to doing that exactly. And the kids are like, their eyes are big as softballs. They're wanting to soak it all in.
I needed to leave the room. I mean, I really did.
No, I think you needed to be educated on some of that because you didn't know a lot of it.
Well, yeah, now we're all educated. Hey, thanks. But
and I won't go into the term, but there was one term that Betty debated me on, that was not the name for a female body part. And I said, Betty, not only is it the name, it has its own symbol.
Oh,
and
good grief.
Look, I'm not proud of this, that we were teenage boys, okay? But teenage boys will even flash this symbol to each other if this is happening in the area. And you did not believe me.
Well, I mean, I've not witnessed it, so I don't,
Well,
but I'm not around teenage boys that much.
Thank goodness none of us are anymore. Maybe not. But I sent you an article from a celebrity that was talking about it about 2 weeks after
Lawrence?
this. Yeah,
yeah.
And so you finally believed me that was actually a name.
Yeah, well, I asked around. Yeah, some of my friends had heard.
You did?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So you got the girls together and was checking my lesson to see if it was accurate? There's no telling what y'all talk about when I ain't around. I hear what y'all talk about.
There's no telling what you talk about.
There's no telling because I hear what y'all talk about when I am around. And that should scare all of us. So we get through body parts, street and scientific names, and I think this is going pretty good. Pretty good. Then we get to where puppies and kitties come from. And we go over that, and I explain to the kids, I said, some of those nights that you thought the cat was out in the yard fighting, you heard it in the bush making strange noises, it wasn't really fighting. It was actually like on a honeymoon.
We had those two. Again, it goes back to the cat story or whatever. You remember we had the 2 little sister cats that got pregnant at the same time, and bless their heart, they had 6 cats apiece, So.
And the kids, I think Caitlin may have witnessed some of that happening.
Did. Yeah, she did.
Because she announced to me where the cat was coming from. And I said, no, that's not it. Wrong spot. But it close. And so...
Well, she said that little... What was it? She said one time we went to a fabric store and the cat wasn't even pregnant. They just had a towel and a box for it to lay on in the fabric store we were in, or it was like I don't remember where we were, but anyway, she said, "Look, Mama, this little cat's about to lay some kittens, like eggs." So she didn't know. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. So then we are set up for the big finale where I have worked diligently to go back and lay out biblical marriage, love, children based on Adam and Eve, the way God set it up and all this. And I'm preparing to do that. And then I never got to that stage. We had what we call the Friday afternoon.
Well, because I was the one that always picked the kids up in the carpool line. We've talked about that on the show before. They got to talking, chatting in the back seat, and they would ask me all kinds. So you didn't get all the questions in the aftermath of your
I asked for
part
questions.
3. Well, they were going to ask you. I mean, they get in the car. It's like, I don't know. They get in that Tahoe and the defenses come down, and it's like little, all kind of questions,
So it's a Friday afternoon. I am very sleepy from getting up doing the show, and I am dozing in my recliner in the den. Caitlin busts in the door, runs over in front of me, making so much noise I cannot help but be woke up. She puts both hands on her hips and says to me in a very loud voice, "I cannot believe God did this to us." And to see her little blonde self with those hands on the hips announcing that, I thought, what in the world? And I started going, Betty, what are you doing? And you announced that you were tired of the questions and you just blurted everything out.
Well, it didn't take but about 2 sentences to, sum it up. So they got the gist of the whole thing.
Are you saying I had laid the pattern out very well at that point?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm just more cut to the point or what. I don't know. But they got, like I said, they got the gist of it.
Well,
now,
you came in.
Might not have been pretty, but they got the gist of it.
Yeah, you came in and announced that you were tired of all the questions, and you just blurted it out, complete with hand gestures, and holding it up over your head. And
we were at a red light. It was all I could do.
I thought, well, this is not exactly with the plan that we had to do this, but we will, we'll have to kind of pick it up there. So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to have to explain to my daughter and my son why God did this to us. You're listening to Bubba on the Lake.
It's Bubba on the Lake. Bubba on the Lake.
Another staff meeting, another push for cross-selling, another awkward silence. Then Banker Bounty happened. The first referral platform made just for banks. One app that empowers every employee, not just your top producers, to bring in business. No more spreadsheets, no more silos, just clarity, culture, and actual growth in real time. Banker Bounty fixes more than your referral program. It fixes your momentum. Go to bankerbounty.com, watch the video, book your free demo. Banker Bounty, create, manage, and track referrals in real time.
You know one thing I love about Buffalo Wild Wings? You can get wings with any of their 26 sauces and dry rubs for takeout and delivery. That's like bringing an entire B-dubs home with you, which you can't do. I tried. I've knocked down so many walls, only to then be told to halt construction because I'm not zoned to be a sports bar. Kinda just looks like a big pergola or something because of the lack of walls. At least these 26 sauces and dry rubs are available to go. Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go sports bar.
All right, welcome back to Bubba on the Lake. Now, again, disclaimer, this is the birds and the bees story. And we're not going to have any bad words in this, but it is adult topics. It is dealing with marital fruit. So if you have young ears that don't need to hear this, you still need to stay tuned out during this segment. When we left, Caitlin had just broke in the house, put her hands on her hips, and screamed, "Why did God do this to us?" And I discovered that Betty, even though I had laid out a very good plan of 3 sessions, body parts, scientific and street names, where do kitties and puppies come from? And then the big finale, where do babies come from? Based off Genesis. And you just blurted it out. You'd had enough.
Well, yeah, after weeks. I mean, it strung on like for 6 weeks or so, I think. You know what I mean? So,
well, we're trying to give a little digest time.
Yeah. Well, they digested it okay in the back seat of the Tahoe. They kept asking questions, you know, every time they'd get in the car. And I was supposed to be explaining about kitties and puppies and babies and street names and all this. And some of the street names, as you just said, I did not know. I'm just like, I don't know where your dad came up with that. I don't know. You'll have to ask him.
Well, I did go to trade school.
Yeah, you did. I did not go to trade school, however. I did ride the bus, but I don't remember anybody talking about these things on the bus. And if they did, I guess I was just tuning it out. I don't know. I was probably humming. I guess I hummed back then, too.
It was a defense mechanism. So after I'm sleepy, tired on a Friday, we have to gather everybody at the table again for the final segment of this learning experience. And we go over everything and we base it out of Genesis and that God made Adam and Eve and they were together and they're built different, but they come together and this is a beautiful thing and it's supposed to be for marriage only. And when you get outside of that, you're dealing with other issues. And, I thought I had laid it out very well. You had already given a very clear visual of how this happened. I want to compliment you.
Well, thank you.
You ought to think about being a referee the way you were giving signals there. I mean, you really were on top of it. So at that point, we got everybody down and I'd finished the presentation and I said, are there any questions?
And then I rose my hand. No, I'm kidding. No, I wanted to.
My daughter raised her hand quickly. Of course, we knew. Hunter just looked mortified by the whole process.
He was white as a sheet and nauseated. Let's face it.
Yeah, and my daughter raises her hand, and she says one of the funnier lines, and some of you parents may have had this ask of you too. She leans in almost kind of a quiet voice and says, "So y'all mean to tell me y'all have done it twice?"
And then I turned white as a sheet and became nauseated.
And I said, Caitlin, and I picked my iPhone up and I pulled the calculator button out.
Sure.
The calculator out. And I started punching in. We'd been married 20 years at the time. So I punched in 20 times 52 for 52 weeks in a year. National average, 2 a week. Times 2, probably more early on, maybe a little less later on, but we'll stay with 2 for an average. And I turned the phone around to my daughter and my son, and I said, we have done it 2,080 times. At that point, they put their hands up and started screaming and running around the den.
And so did
in
I,
a circle.
folks.
Well, this is funny. Betty looked at it for a minute, and then it kind of registered with her. Then she put her hands up and started screaming and running around the den. And so I had my wife, my son, my daughter, all with their hands up, running in a circle, screaming around the den.
That was an afternoon, folks.
I thought, well, this has taken a strange twist. This is not the exact way I saw this playing out. So finally, we got everybody calmed down again, sit down at the table. And I said, are there any other questions? My daughter, her hand, Caitlin, goes up immediately. She said, is this why sometimes your bedroom door is locked? And I said, yes, it is. And I wish you'd quit jiggling the handle. You're breaking my concentration.
Oh,
And at that point, hands up again.
Yes, all of us.
Screaming, running around the room. Betty joined him again. Everybody, the cat and dog has run and hid. They don't know what's going on. It's total bedlam. And I think, I don't know what in the world, this was on such a planned program, and now it is so out of control.
I wish the kids
totally
were
out
here
of control.
To comment. They'll have to be on a separate thing with us
to
comment.
Yeah,
that'll be next segment maybe, or next podcast.
I don't know that they would even show up for this podcast. Okay, honestly.
Well, we'll just say we're cooking lasagna or something, having a
Don't tell
lasagna
them.
dinner. Yeah, and they'll come.
So after that, I noticed every time we went somewhere, Caitlin would quickly go, "I'll ride with Dad."
Sure,
I'll ride with Dad. Because she wanted to pepper me with more questions.
And Hunter was good with that because he wanted to sit in the back seat with his headphones on and not say a word.
Yeah, and do something else. So Caitlin kept peppering me with questions. She kept asking me, she said, "Dad, I feel like there's something else you're not telling us. There's something else." And I said, "No, I've pretty much covered all of it. The rest of it I'll tell you on your wedding day."
And we're still waiting for that one.
Yeah. I don't know. It may have, neither one of them have got married yet. So apparently, I don't know if that has been part of the decision not to date seriously or what. I don't know.
Oh, bless them. Well, we did the best we could, folks,
It was my first time being a parent. So I
Mine
did,
too.
I've made decisions. Not all of them have been correct. I don't know. We'll see long term if that was a wise one or not. But anyway.
It ended up being funny, though. We still all laugh about it now.
Oh, we do. We do. And we're sharing it with the world the first time electronically. So I would love to hear some of the listener stories, by the way, because I know the ones I have heard are hilarious. And it's one of those passages of life you got to go through.
It is.
So, and I don't know. How did you learn about all this?
I didn't. That's as evidenced by you. I mean, I think I just had to figure it out.
So was I your teacher?
Said, well, no. I said, I told you this. I think I was in the 5th or 6th grade probably. And, back then we didn't have the internet. We had encyclopedias.
Right.
And so the encyclopedia with the S or whatever, buddy, that page, honey, you couldn't even read it. So many people had it out trying to figure all that out or whatever. I mean, it was like blurred from people's, you know what I mean?
Well, Betty, I don't know if we really know what you mean or not.
Well, the S word in there, and I thought, well, what in the world? Why is everybody so interested in the S's? It's. I thought, good grief. Oh, babe. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I never had that sit down session. So I learned it on the street.
Well, I guess I did too.
On the street.
But my streets were a lot calmer than yours, apparently.
Well, we all had that guy in our class that seemed to always know everything. And you'd go to him for confirmation on stuff.
But then you'd see him pulling the encyclopedia out, and you were thinking he don't know anything.
No! Listen, he was talking it up a long time before I knew what was going on. I mean, he was way ahead of the curve.
Somebody was telling him, or he was observing something. I don't know.
Yeah, and we ended up going to trade school together. So I won't out him here, Dennis, but it's he always had the scoop on what was going on. He always knew. So that was always educational to spend a little time with him. But I did get some advice, I think, it was my dad that gave me the advice. And he died when I was 15, so it had to be about 13 or 14 when and again, we didn't go into the details of this, but he said, you got to make good decisions in life, and you can't wait until you're in a compromising position to make good decisions. Mm-hmm. And his example was climbing in the back seat of a car with a girl, right?
Yeah.
And he said, you got to make that decision before that, not try to make it once you're back there, because you're going to make a bad decision once you're back there.
Right.
And I was like, I did fully understand that. But that was
I see
That
you
was the
followed his
extent.
advice because we. I'm kidding.
What?
I'm kidding.
What are you saying?
Let's don't wade off into that. Yeah.
What? What are you talking about?
I'm just going to say 2 words and let it be Blue Malibu. But go ahead. No.
Children, this is your mom talking now, okay? It's not me. She's the one doing all this.
No, it was you. That was you. All right.
You know people are going to hear this, right?
Well, sorry. The only thing that I remember my dad never broached the topic at all. My mom, one time, there were 2 dogs hooking up, and she said, we got to throw water. So I thought, well, daggum, if you're going to get water thrown on you, that's out, That's all I remember. I thought I'm going to be hosed down. Oh, man.
Your choice of words is something else. Blondie, you know it? Oh, Betty.
Gosh.
Betty. Anything else you want to cover? I'm just going to sit back and let you go.
I have said too much. I've said way too much.
Well, that's the story of me educating my 3 children on the birds and the bees.
Yes. Bill's the oldest child until it comes to those topics. Then I guess I had to be taught a few things, but whatever. It all came out.
You've been a great student.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you high marks.
Thank you. The lake is beautiful today, by the way.
It is.
Nice and blue. It looks like the ocean.
A little windy out there.
A little windy. Makes it look more like the ocean, though. It's got a wave to it.
So I think we will stop this story at this point. I know there's going to want to be a rebuttal from at least one of the children. But that is our story of the birds and the bees. It was a great plan. It run aground a little bit. I remember holding that calculator up to Caitlin with that number on it. And I remember thinking, that's impressive. You know what I mean? That is impressive.
And I remember thinking, what was I thinking? No. And we're going out for dinner.
The other problem, the funny part of this was that our bedroom door had kind of a goofy lock on it anyway. If you pushed it, it would lock. And the thing that stopped the door would fall off sometimes. So if you just open the door, that button would push. And then when you shut the door, it would lock. Mm-hmm. So there were several times we would be sitting there watching TV or something, and you would hear one of the kids, most notably Caitlin, coming to the bedroom door, jiggling the handle, and it would be locked.
Yeah.
And she would go, "Oh my God, Hunter, they're at it again."
I mean, to this day, you can't lock a door and get dressed.
No.
I'm like, y'all are grown now. I don't want y'all to be barging in here while I'm getting dressed. Mothers know what I'm talking about. The minute you have children, or for that matter, a dog, you're not going to the bathroom by yourself ever again. There's going to be somebody else in there, till they get old enough to say, okay, clear out. I'm going to the bathroom, or I'm getting ready, or whatever, And
it doesn't matter what you do to get ready at the most embarrassing point of getting ready. And that may be different things for different people, right? I can always count on somebody opening the door. I mean, it's just standard,
Oh, me, yeah.
You're sitting there and just, everything's there it is. And
well, the minute I hear a door open now, I just start hollering, naked! I'm naked! Get out! And if it's Caitlin, she barges in anyway.
That's usually when I come running.
Well, Caitlin always barges in. I need to borrow something,
Oh, gosh. So there you have it, folks, the birds and the bees. We hope that your story was better than ours, and we hope you enjoyed ours. Thank you for being a part of that, and we'll be back in just a minute. You're listening to Bubba on the Lake.
1, 2, 3, 4. We'll be right back.
The perfect checking account does not exist. At least, not at a bank. At AmFirst, you can get no minimum balance or monthly fees, an instant issue debit card, and free checks with unlimited check writing. But who doesn't want more? like a rewards program you'll actually use, and convenient digital tools that make it easy to manage your account from anywhere. That's what you'll find at AmFirst. Only available for qualifying members. AmFirst is federally insured by the NCUA.
When you need urgent care, Southern Immediate Care is here for you. Illness doesn't follow a 9-to-5 schedule, so we offer support 7 days a week at convenient locations throughout Birmingham and Northeast Alabama, dedicated to serving all ages from children to adults. Southern Immediate Care offers occupational medicine services, including DOT physicals and testing. At Southern Immediate Care, your health is our top priority. Visit southernimmediatecare.com or call 205-409-2794.
Thank you all for staying with us. It is Bubba on the Lake. Our website, bubbaonthelake.com. And, of course, our message line, 308-BIG-LAKE. Keep those cards and letters coming. We are in the Mellow Yellow studio, and we want you to always subscribe, like, follow, do all the things you do online now, and we'll keep you up to date with everything that's going on. Well, we all just needed a break after that last couple of segments, and I hope that that was entertaining. I hope it was not too much. We've been asked about telling that story many, many times, and as I said, we have told it in some small groups, but we've never told it to be broadcast, either on radio or podcast or whatever, so... And we'd like to hear your stories. Shoot us an email, leave us a message. That's always one of those funny things that we go through in life. But what a blessing it is. What a blessing it is here to have a life each and every day, to have a spouse, if you're lucky enough to have one of those, and get to share life together with somebody, the highs and the lows as it goes. So we had another segment or two, but I think we're going to hold on that because it will run this podcast way over. And honestly, I think we all just need a break after that. We're running a little late. We had some production delays getting this podcast ready to go, and we're sorry about that. We try to average about one a week, sometimes more, and we'll try to pick those up, the pace of those as time goes on a little bit, as it becomes, productive to do that. When we have the right things, the right people, it's timely to do that. We do have an episode coming up with the young lady who introduced Betty and I to each other. And we're going to talk about how that happened and where that went. And she is very, very funny. So we're looking forward to having her and her husband. They're actually going to come and visit with us for a few days. So we will we'll get to interview her and talk about that on an upcoming episode very, very soon. I want to thank all of you for being part of the podcast. This has been a new venture for me, and we're enjoying doing it. I hope that you guys are enjoying it. We're getting a lot of great emails, and we want to continue to do that and do it in a way that you enjoy and you find entertaining. And, we're still always trying to adjust that to get that right where we need it to be. It's also got to finally turn summer, warm weather out there, and we're going to try to do some things out on the pontoon boat. So that'll be entertaining. We'll try to push the edge of podcasting as we go and set sail out on the lake and waterways everywhere as we continue to do this. So thank you again for being part of Bubba on the Lake. We have some great episodes coming up, as I mentioned. Continue to stay in contact with us. BubbaOnTheLake.com. We have a lot of good information there. Be sure wherever you're getting the podcast to subscribe. That way you'll know when a new one drops. And it also helps us with the algorithm, so more people will hear it. And hopefully we'll be able to monetize this properly to keep it going for a long, long time. Again, thank all of you. And I want to remind you, when we say Bubba on the Lake, we're not talking about a place. We're talking about a state of mind. And that's always a good place to have your mind, is on the lake. Thank you for listening to Bubba on the Lake.
You're listening to Bubba on the Lake.
Hit me bad.
A production of Intergalactic Pants and Tees.
All rights reserved.
Attention business owners, print buyers, and production managers. Guaranteed Labels is here to help you focus less on your printing, labels, and decals, and more on growing your business. Guaranteed Labels, your dependable printer for all types of industries. Quality, on-time shipments, and stock programs set us apart. If you're needing to focus less on your printing and more on your business, trust Guaranteed Labels. 800-741-7055 or GuaranteedLabels.com. Guaranteed Labels, still sticking since 1988.
This is Coke Zero Sugar. Could I be the best Coke ever? Try and taste with your ears. Hear those bubbles? Imagine them tingling on your tongue. Fizzy deliciousness. Listen to that cascading liquid. A mouth-watering waterfall. Irresistibly tasty. Zero sugar. Crisp, refreshing, and ice cold. Is Coke Zero Sugar the best Coke ever? Try and decide.
Just got that new boat? Let Sunrise Docks protect your investment with Swift Shield boat covers, Neptune boat lifts, and easy ports for your personal watercraft. Plus, they have composite decking that stays cool, designed with your feet in mind. Sunrise Docks is always first in quality, first in service, and first in customer satisfaction. Right off Highway 63, your Lake Martin headquarters, with 2 barges and the most experienced boat lift crew on the lake. Sunrise Docks is your lake life expert. Call 256-392-5200.
This podcast is brought to you in part by Coke, Am First, Buffalo Wild Wings, Southern Immediate Care, Guaranteed Labels, Central State Bank, Sunrise Docks, Banker's Bounty, and Dr. Thomas Dudney.
Hey, it's Bubba, hey, Bubba, Bubba on the lake. This is Bubba, hey, Bubba, Bubba on the lake. Yeah, he's got it going on. Gotta come and check this. Talking people, talking places from Bubba's perspective. This is Bubba, hey, Bubba on the lake. Hey, Bubba, yeah, Bubba on the lake. Let's go.
Rippling waters, the world stops to stare. News and the scores, tech spins on his wheel. National renown, the truth he reveals. From the mellow yellow studio, he sends the sound. Echoes through the nation where legends are found. The lake holds the power, ripples don't lie. Bubba on the airwaves riding that won't die. Late night static, stars hanging low. Every turn of his voice, the world seems to glow. Microphone crackles like fire on stone. Bubba carves the stories, makes the air his throne. From the mellow yellow studio, he sends the sound. It flies fast, tech churns the tide. News shakes the